It's my sick brain talking.
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
Doesn't
You
know.
claim I got you sick,
Yeah.
but I specifically
It's
stayed
facts.
away.
It's facts.
I specifically stayed away for like a week to not do that.
Yeah, but
whatever.
it's all good.
Hello and welcome to once again another edition of Popcorn Bucket List. We're back.
We're back, baby.
Yeah, a couple weeks off there, just due to circumstance. I guess the best way to describe it was I feel like I had a gang war of flus going on in there. I think there was like 3 at one time. Like I think it's that movie Osmosis Jones. It's the one like Bill Murray.
Ooh, that's an old school.
Yeah. That was one where it was like Bill Murray was like live action, but it was like animated, like in his body, and they were like cops trying to defeat the disease.
Yeah,
it was like that, but it was a gang war, and there were no cops.
There was no cops.
There were no cops helping me on that one there. But yeah, so we missed out a few weeks there, but we're back. March is here. One of my favorite, most anticipated movies of the year coming up. We're going to preview that in just a little bit. I mean, I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to Spaceman, I guess. But we are going to be talking about sci-fi.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking a lot about sci-fi here. Dune Part 2 premiering this weekend. So let's talk a little Denis Villeneuve. He's been in the business for a while here, but he's really kind of grown more recently. And he is arguably, I would say, one of the best working directors right now. So let's break down some of his better ones. Let's each give our top 3 Denis, because that's how you pronounce his name.
Yep,
I think. I hope so. Otherwise, that pun doesn't really work. So we may have to cut that. I don't know. In celebration of Dune Part 2 premiering this weekend here, we're going to talk about Denis Villeneuve movies here. We focused on top 3 because, like I said, he has been working for a while here, but he does. I mean, he has about. We could have done a top 5, but I wanted to kind of narrow it down here. Yeah. And I don't know. This was kind of a tough list for me. There was there was a few where I could definitely see. I don't know, especially my 3 and 2. My number 1 was my number 1. I had that one pretty locked down as far as where I wanted.
Is it a part 1?
No.
Okay.
But that would have been kind of ironic. Yes. Yeah, that would have. But my 2 and 3, I may even still end up switching. Probably not though. But
Did we have different films?
We do have different ones in different spots. Yeah.
Oh, different spots. Okay.
Yeah. But we do have a few overlap here, but that's all right. That's just, I mean, he's a great filmmaker. What can I say? He's got some great ones there. So let's break some of them down here. Let's start with our number 3 pick. Ryan, why don't you kick us off here? What is your number 3 Denis Villeneuve movie?
So I'm going with his film Arrival. I remember when this came out, it was kind of it's a alien movie with, you don't really see the aliens, not like on the ground or abduction, which is very common with alien films. This is more just like, oh, they're here and we're trying to communicate with them. And going into it, I thought it would be okay, but I turned out really enjoying the film, and the way he's one of those directors where once you know it's a film that he's made, you can see it. And like all of Quentin Tarantino's films, you can tell are Quentin Tarantino films. All of his films, you can tell they're his films. The acting was great. It's got Amy Adams in it. I know there's a couple other people I can't remember off the top of my head, but the acting was phenomenal. The special effects were phenomenal. The storyline was great. I really enjoyed it.
My number 3 pick is going to be a part 1 here. We're going to be talking about part 2 here in just a little bit, but I'm going to say Dune is my number 3. Now, there's a lot of sort of backstory and lore as to this Duneverse, if you will.
I like it.
Thank you.
I like it.
Coined that trademark right there. As far as like the book, how it was written, how this was originally made into a film way back in the day, and it was a crazy film. Whatever. We don't have time to get into all that. So I really wasn't sure what to expect going into this one. I didn't know a lot about the book. Again, I didn't know a lot about the backstory. So I kind of went in with fresh eyes. I just knew they had attempted it before. I was expecting something crazy. And, well, I mean, it is crazy, but it's good crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it is a very interesting sci-fi world here. And I almost feel like this is kind of what the Star Wars prequels were going for, where they were like, yeah, we're doing space opera stuff, but it's a little bit more political.
Yep.
Whereas we don't really want that with Star Wars.
We want the action.
We want the
fighters,
action. But here I want to see, how does this world play itself out? Why is it that, who's this emperor? How does that work? The harvesting of spice in this hostile environment, but it's such an important resource.
Yeah.
So you have to do it. And I mean, the acting is phenomenal by everyone here. Timothée Chalamet, he's doing his Timothée Chalamet-est. Aquaman himself, Jason Momoa. It's one of his better performances, I would say. Everyone, all across the board. Great job. And again, like you kind of mentioned, the effects have always been on point with the Denis Villeneuve movie. Yep. Like, he never misses with that. And you can tell the same thing here. So,
and you know what I think has to do with that? I think we'll kind of get into it later. Is he tries to do as much as he can practical. Like, even some of the ships that they built, they actually had them. They're not flying, but they're going up in the air and doing things, and that just looks better. It always looks better.
It's kind of like with Nolan, he tries to do across the board as much as he can practical. Here, Denis tries to sort of mix it.
Yeah.
Which can work, especially in his case, but very rarely does it work as well as how he does it, I would say. All right, so for round 2 here, our number 2 pick, I'll kick us off here on this one. I'm actually going to follow up what you said for your number 3 pick. This was the one I was debating between 2 and 3. It was between Dune and Arrival. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, the reason why I picked Arrival above Dune was, and I'm not going to get into the plot twist. You kind of alluded there is sort of a twist here. You could argue the twist is that it's an alien movie and it's not an invasion, or it's not an abduction. The premise of it sounds boring. Amy Adams is trying to figure out alien language through like her university training or whatever.
Yes.
The premise does not sound right. It doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound like a good movie.
But it looks fantastic. And even though the plot twist is actually spoiled for me, I shouldn't say spoiled. I willingly listened to a spoiler review because I didn't think I was going to watch it. And then a couple months later, I did watch it, and I was like, dang, I wish I hadn't had that spoiled for me. But it is one of the best Amy Adams performances. A couple of the other actors you were referring to, Jeremy Renner.
Yep, Jeremy Renner.
He's also in it, as well as Forrest Whitaker as well. So it's a great movie. Again, it is an alien movie done entirely different than any other alien movie that we'd seen before.
Yep.
So that's my number 2 pick. How about you? What are you picking for your number 2 pick?
I'm going with Prisoners. Prisoners is a fantastic film that really draws on emotions, I would say. First off, we got Jake Gyllenhaal, Hugh Jackman, and Paul Dano. Stud lineup, just wonderful. They're phenomenal actors, and it really draws you into the story. This is a small town kidnapping, and kind of takes you along the ride with how that goes. And it's a powerful movie. I love it. It's fantastic. And there is this twist kind of at the end. Is the father right? Is the police captain right? Who's right? Are the townspeople right? And it's just a phenomenal movie. The acting's great. The scene, the kind of look of the film is very, very good. It's just a well-done movie, and it's one of my favorites. I really liked it.
Arguably one of his smaller scale ones.
Yes, this one, compared especially with the Dune films and with this and probably with my next selection, it is very small scale compared to the other epics.
Also, not going to be the first time we talk about Paul Dano on this discussion here today.
The dog.
He's going to pop up here later on, just a little tease right there for you. But with that, let's move into our number 1 favorite Denis Villeneuve here movie. Ryan, I know you've talked about this one in the past here. Why don't you take us away with your number one pick for Villeneuve?
Well, I am a huge Josh Brolin fan. I love Josh Brolin. He was my favorite cast member of the Goonies, and ever since then, he's just been killing it. Just awesome.
In some cases, 50% at a time.
Yes. I am gonna go with Sicario. Or Sicaro. I don't necessarily.
I think your first one.
Sicario.
I think for first pronunciation.
Yeah, and Benicio del Toro's in this. It kind of talks about gangs and like drug trafficking and people trafficking down at the border. And it's like the U.S. government and some like special ops and how this works and like how they inform. And it is absolute. And is it Rachel McAdams? Is that who the girl is?
Emily Blunt.
Whoa. Hey-o. Not right. But
I'm trying to even think if they're in a movie together where you could possibly have gotten those two confused.
I don't know. It's my sick brain talking.
You claim I got you sick, but I specifically stayed away. I specifically stayed away for like a week to not do that.
Yeah, but whatever. It's all good. No, the film's great. We talk about his films has that look to it. It has that feel to it. Just fantastic. Check it out. It's good.
So you've gone kind of the small scale here these last few. I'm going to go to one of his arguably biggest scale movies here. Blade Runner 2049. This was the sequel to the Blade Runner movie of the 1980s. Doesn't really matter what version you watch. There's like 10 of them out there, I guess, really. But regardless, I always liked the first Blade Runner movie. I thought Harrison Ford was okay. I thought a lot of the other supporting cast members were really kind of carrying it. And I thought it was an interesting world. But it really it was limited to the technology and the digital effects we had at the time to fully realize this world of Blade Runner and its franchise. Denis Villeneuve was fortunate enough to be here now in this present day where he was able to do some of the best effects work, some of the best storytelling, some of the best world building I have seen in a movie in the past like 10 years.
Yeah.
This is the movie that convinced me that Dave Bautista, he wasn't just some big wrestler Drax guy. Like he was a legit actor, and the reason why he's still working with him today in these Dune movies. Ryan Gosling. I don't want to say I've always been down on Ryan Gosling. He's a good actor, but he's always been a good Ryan Gosling actor.
Yep.
This is one of his better ones. He's still just kind of doing his Ryan Gosling thing, but he's doing it in a little bit darker tone.
Yeah.
It's a great. It picks up right where the first one left off as far as the moral quandary and everything like that. And you know me, I'm a stickler for runtime. Mm-hmm. If your movie's going to be over 2 hours, you got to earn it. I did not feel the runtime in this movie. I mean, it's probably close to 3 hours, but it felt like a great 3 hours for me personally. So that's probably my favorite Denis Villeneuve, and this was probably the first one that I was like, this guy is legit. He has my trust.
He's got it.
Whatever project comes down the pike with his name on it, I'm all aboard. I'm all in on it.
There you go.
But with that, let's kind of transition then into the weekly preview. We'll talk a little bit more about Denis Villeneuve here in just a little bit with Dune Part 2. But there are a few other things coming out here this weekend as well. So let's break that down for you. Actually, first, before we really get into the weekend, a movie that has already come out by the time this video is out. It'll have premiered Wednesday, February 28th. Code 8 Part 2. Not the only Part 2 we're going to be talking about here today, I guess. This one's coming straight to Netflix. The movie stars Robbie Amell, and I believe it's his cousin Stephen Amell, who also stars in this, and he's produced both Code 8 movies. Basically, this is a world where 4% of the population have superpowers, so a special police force is established to essentially monitor these people with powers and everything like that. They're kind of outlawed. It's very much like X-Men, but a little bit grittier and a little bit more down to earth, I guess.
See, and I was kind of thinking like somewhere along The Boys too, where like you have Homelander and that whole side of things, but now you have the smaller scale.
And I would agree with part of that. The only thing is with The Boys is like you had a few heroes that are sort of propped up as heroes, mainly due to corporations kind of holding them up. Here it's kind of like all superheroes
are bad.
They're not bad, they're perceived as bad.
Yep.
So like before you even kind of commit a crime here, you're kind of like, if you slip up a little bit, you're
out, kid.
You're kind of a criminal automatically, even though, whether or not you got powers really isn't your fault.
Did they direct anything or do anything with the Black Mirror show? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Honestly, when I was watching that trailer, it was just like everything about this reminds me about a couple episodes of Black Mirror. And the dogs looked identical. The robot dogs, and obviously I think that's just the way society is going right now. And that's like a real thing that is happening. So that's probably why, not necessarily just taken from Black Mirror, but it just had a lot of look and feel of it.
Yeah, quick search here. I don't think they had any connections to Black Mirror there. But you're right. Yeah, the robot dog in this one. I mean, we've seen tech displays showing off something similar to that, though.
Yeah.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Essentially, the first movie was kind of like, hey, let's pull off a heist, but with superpowers here.
Yeah.
This one is a little bit more Escape from L.A. with superpowers here. I guess if that's kind of a way to put it. So, I don't know. I like these actors. I like Robbie Amell. I like Stephen Amell from the Arrow series and everything like that. So I like the people involved in this. I think I saw the first one, but I can't remember too much about it, which is never a great sign.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I have a pretty good memory when it comes to what movies I've seen or not. So maybe I'll have to rewatch it. I don't know. But I think
watch it for the first time.
Or essentially watch it. Maybe I didn't see it, or maybe I just thought I saw it.
Yeah.
Maybe I just dreamt myself seeing it. I don't know. That'd be kind of weird. But wouldn't that be crazy if you dreamt yourself watching a movie and you ended up dreaming pretty much the plot of the movie without having seen the movie?
Yeah, like I think if they re-released another version of Lion King, I could dream that I was watching it. And it hit the mark.
Yep.
Hit the mark.
Yep. But Friday, March 1st, that is the big ticket premiere here this week. Dune Part 2. Reportedly, they are going to make a third one.
Yep.
So hopefully this one does as good as the first one did.
And I think they will because, correct me if I'm wrong, when the first one came out, it didn't do crazy right away. Because I remember for that first week or two, they're probably not going to make a second one.
No,
and then it was like, oh yeah, it's coming in now.
You may be right. I just remember early on, the movie was just titled Dune.
Yeah.
So we didn't know how much of the book they were going to cover, and it wasn't until you sat down and watched the movie, that was the first time it said Dune Part 1.
Yeah.
So that was what I remember. You could maybe it might have not have started off great,
but it ended well.
But it did end up making its money and then some here, justifying a second one.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the same thing here. I mean, talk about a stacked cast. I mean, the first one was stacked, and I mean, a few of them died. Spoilers, sorry, but we're replacing them and then some.
Yeah.
Let's see. Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Javier Bardem, joining the cast, Austin Butler. Hopefully he doesn't still have that Elvis accent with the bald white. Could you imagine him just trying to during the knife fights and be like, all right, yeah, I know, I'll stab you. Yeah. I mean, let me get some spice here. Okay, that's enough of my Elvis impersonation right there.
That was pretty good.
Thank you. Who else? I mean, who else is in this movie? I mean, point
Christopher Walken's
Christopher
in there.
Walken. I forgot about Walken's in here. Florence Pugh's in here.
Yeah, Florence Pugh.
Rebecca Ferguson, she's returning. Yeah, I'm sure we missed some others here too. But I mean, the first one was surprisingly good. Again, it's a little bit of a weird universe in that it's not as action packed as you think it would be, but it has you gripped into it.
Yes.
Sort of.
And I think this one will definitely be more action-y than the first one. First one, they did a great job setting up, like you said, the whole politics side of how does this universe operate.
All I'm saying is if I'm Paul Atreides and I'm told I have to leave my nice mountain water planet for a desert planet, be like, why do you hate me, Dad?
Yep.
If there was any time for a kid to be like, I'm not going with you, why do you hate me? Why are you ruining my life?
Yeah.
That would have been it right there. That was the time. That was it. But yeah, to the more action here. Looks like we're going to get a little bit more of the sandworms here.
Yeah, the sandworms.
They look awesome.
You know, if I have the opportunity, I want to get the sandworm popcorn.
I was wondering
bucket.
if you were going to bring this up or not.
I want one of those.
I want one of those just for a set decoration.
Yes.
Because I heard the descriptions. I heard how bad it was. And I was like, it can't be that bad. And then I saw someone use it in use. And I was like, no, that's pretty bad.
Yep.
That's pretty bad.
I'm going to have to make a trip to some theaters.
Maybe
see
Sioux
if I can
Falls
get my
down there or
hands
something
on
like that. But.
Yeah, get my hands on one.
And in one.
Oh!
Hey-o! We're probably gonna cut that, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm feeling. What can I say? I'm feeling better. I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
It's a good Monday.
It's a good
Good Monday for Nick. Here we go. But we're not done talking sci-fi here. Also coming out this weekend, Spaceman, also to Netflix. Adam Sandler stars in this sci-fi sort of psychological movie.
Yeah, very.
Never would I think to describe that was the genre he was in.
When I was watching the trailer, we got about 15 seconds in, and I kept waiting for that joke, waiting for that punchline. And then the girl says, I think he just misses his wife. And then it was like, oh, this is going to be a dramatic role. And then as I watched the trailer, I thought, this actually looks really good. It looks...
A24 movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, and he did Uncut Gems with them.
Yep.
And that was phenomenal. And that was not an Adam Sandler movie or Adam Sandler role.
That's what a lot of people point to, right? Is like, oh, he was doing something so different there. And
Actually,
he was doing something different, but it was actually, I think, a lot closer to what a lot of his roles than people are willing to admit.
Yeah.
Like, it was still, you could have easily said that was Happy Gilmore 20 years later, and he's just swearing more.
Yeah, yep.
And stuff like that, which is fine. He was still great in it. I'm not trying to knock it, but this one actually truly feels like a different Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
He's more sad in this one. He's depressed. He's hallucinating, or maybe not
Or maybe
hallucinating, a giant spider, voiced by Paul Dano. Told you that would come back, by the way.
That's who. Oh, okay.
That was Paul Dano.
Yeah, I didn't see his name in the credits because I was kind of looking for it, and maybe I missed it. But I'm like, who's that voice? I feel like he should be giving me riddles right now.
No.
Yeah,
that was
put
not,
it up.
No, that was
put
not.
it up.
That was not as clever as I think you thought it was. But whatever. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll let it slide. Yeah, like I said, he's maybe hallucinating this giant spider. He's maybe not.
Don't know.
That's kind of part of the mystery of the movie here. But it really is kind of, all right, what does isolation do to a person? Especially one who's been stuck up in space for how long? Apparently, this was reportedly very loosely based off a true story. And by that, I mean there was some sort of man from the Czech Republic, I believe, who sent up on a space mission for about that long. Yeah. And that's about where the similarity stops.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I was just reading an article that NASA is taking people. If you want to go be with a group of people, you can live for a year. And like a simulated Mars living situation kind of a thing.
You can sign me up to not do that.
Yeah, like it sounded pretty interesting, but I have a family.
It is to you because you're a very social person. Yeah. I am a very my social battery is like an Android battery. It does not last very long.
Oh,
got him.
I can't say anything because right now.
Yeah, your phone sucks today.
Yeah,
got him.
It's not my fault. It's actually Google's fault.
Whatever.
So Google,
whatever. Cop out. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Come on, Google.
All right. Let's get back to the movies here. Things up as we usually do with another edition of Number One Recommends. Mr. Meyerberg, you want to kick us off on this one here? What are you recommending this week?
This week, I am recommending Land of Bad. Kind of went and saw this one out on a limb, I guess you'd say. Maybe out on the lamb. No. Anyways.
I gave you one already. I gave you one.
Actually, I really enjoyed it. This stars Thor's brother.
Liam
Hemsworth, thank you. And our boy, Gerard Butler. No, not Gerard Butler.
Who are you? Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Why did I say Gerard Butler?
No.
I don't know. But our boy Russell Crowe is a drone operator for the, I believe it was
The
Air Force.
yep.
Yeah, for the Air Force. And it kind of gave a in-depth look, I guess. I would say it shows off what the U.S. military is capable of doing with drones. You don't really see that in a lot of films, or else if you do, it's like, hey, come in back home, do this. Okay. And that's it. This actually showed the operators on the ground and the person controlling the drones. So it was a new, unique mix to the classic. Good guys go somewhere, fight the bad guys. Craziness happens. How do they get out? It's predictable, but I enjoyed it, and it was nice to see Liam doing something. So it was cool. It was good. Storyline was great. The acting was good. Yeah.
I still stand by terrible title, but yeah, I was also very surprised by this movie.
Yeah, they could have called it some other cool things.
You could have easily called it. You could have called it Rumble in the Jungle, and it would have
worked. Or Kellogg's and the Reaper or something. That'd be cool.
Something like that, maybe.
Yeah, didn't work.
Yeah, and we can come up with a better title, I think. But yeah, it was actually a surprisingly good time. I would agree with you on that one. Anyways, my number one recommend here, and I'm quite ashamed of myself.
Yeah?
I brought shame to my dojo, because this should have been recommended by me week 1.
Oh.
But I didn't get around to it till like a couple of weeks later.
All right.
A documentary came out on Netflix about NASCAR, and it took me a couple of weeks to watch it.
Jeez.
That's not good. That's not good, Nick.
That's not good.
But I did watch it, and it was harder for me a little bit to get into the documentary because, I mean, they were focusing on the end of last season. They were trying to sort of dissect and give a little bit of perspective as far as what the playoffs are, how big of a challenge that is, and all that. It was harder for me to get into it because, I mean, I watched the NASCAR season. Yeah. I watch it religiously. I know how this is going to end, unfortunately. So for me, it was really hard to get into. I feel like, though, to the casual NASCAR fan or to someone who's maybe thinking of looking at the sport a little bit more, I think there's a little bit more for you to get out of it. I think that was ultimately their goal with this documentary. It wasn't to satisfy someone like me,
the NASCAR fans.
It was to try and humanize these racers, show a little bit behind the scenes, some of the struggles they go through in trying to race for a championship. And it is sort of a difficult playoff. I mean, they've extended it so like there's more people in it now. Yep. It's 16 drivers. It used to be like 10 or 12, and then it extended it. In fact, there is actually kind of a funny moment where obviously they can't focus on all 16. They don't have enough crew. They don't have enough people to cover every 16 driver right away. So they really tried to focus on the 8 they thought was going to make the final 8.
Yeah.
And then kind of hopefully build their storylines, and hopefully it was going to be those 8. Well, to anyone who watched the season, know that Christopher Bell kind of was the underdog, which I never got. I actually kind of thought he had a good chance. So they actually had a moment where they sat down, and you can hear the director in the background basically being like, so at the beginning of this, we asked who should we focus on, and you can kind of tell he's kind of like building up to, so we didn't think you would be this far. And Christopher Bell even cuts him off. He's like, they didn't tell you to focus on me, did they? He's like, no, not really. So he's like, yeah, I don't get what people think I'm an underdog, because he's very talented. But yeah, it was, it had some funny moments. It had some good moments. Yeah, like I said, if you just want to learn a little bit more.
What's it called?
NASCAR Full Speed. Thank you. I did not actually say the title yet, so
I got you.
Thank you for catching me on that one. But with that, that's going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. Tune in next week. If my calendar is correct, it will be part 1 of the Oscar Challenge. That is right. Yep. Part 1 of the Oscar special, where we're going to preview the Oscars a little bit. We're going to introduce the challenge once again. 4th year we're going for it. You know, I messed up on my three-peat, but that doesn't mean I still can't get 3 rings.
Did you win the first 2?
I won the first 2, and then I got super cocky.
And I smoked.
I was dusted, sure. Left behind a little bit, maybe. Smoked. I don't know if I'd go that far.
Okay.
I'd say I gave about 50% effort, and you beat me by like 5. So if that's...
I'll take it.
So tune in for that next week. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Super looking forward to the Oscars coming up here in just a little bit.
Great vengeance movie. The Northman. That was a great vengeance.
Mark it off the bingo cards, everybody.
Yeah. And that got snubbed. So maybe you're going to get snubbed.
He mentioned, nope, we're not going to be the Northman. We're not going to be the Northman. Nope. We're going to be Oppenheimer, and we're going to leave you in an atomic dust. Yeah. That's what we're going to do. That's the metaphor. Oppenheimer or bust. That's our motto for 2024.
All right, let's do it.
Oppenheimer or bust. Anyways, for myself and Ryan Meyerberg, who's taking a swig of water there, and I awkwardly placed that for a reason, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.